war Northlander. For daring to stand before me, you will now lose your life.
Let's learn how to defeat Kailok on hard difficulty using the new Resonate system. At first, Kailok feels overwhelming. He's aggressive, mobile, and punishes panic rolling almost immediately. But once we started understanding his spacing, posture breaks, and ranged punish windows, the entire fight changed. Welcome until the next fight. If you're new here, the channel is about learning boss fights, not perfect gameplay. And at the end of the day, of every encounter, we evaluate the fight based on mechanics, impact, fairness, area design, and replayability. At first, we thought matching Kailok's speed would be the answer, so we switched over to the Afonso Spear. The faster attacks helped us survive his pressure, but we quickly realized something important. We try extending our combo here, but Kailok simply tanks the hits and immediately retaliates. This becomes one of the biggest lessons in the fight. Do not get greedy. Patience is king here. This is where the fight finally starts to click. The shield attacks were consistently breaking Kailok's posture. Once we realized posture damage mattered more than raw aggression, the entire flow of the encounter changed. Instead of constantly retreating, we started staying close, blocking, parrying, and forcing stagger opportunities. You can see it here. The shield bash interrupts his momentum. Honestly, this ends up feeling much more reliable than simply trying to outspeed him.
You lost your war Northlander. For daring to stand before me, you will now lose your...
One detail I really liked here is because we already defeated Kailok in the main story, we actually have access to his wind projectile attack ourselves. So there are moments where both of us are literally firing wind slashes at each other. That small detail adds a lot of identity to the fight and makes Kailok feel more connected to the player, as 40 plus hours later, we're still using that wind projectile attack ability. The new Resonate system definitely changes the feel of this encounter. Kailok's attacks hit hard. Some of these attempts end after only a few mistakes. You really can feel how much more dangerous his ranged attacks become when they increased damage scaling. And because of that, panic rolling becomes even more dangerous. If you dodge too early, Kailok's tracking and delayed timing will catch you repeatedly. Here we switch back to the Hound, and this ended up becoming the turning point of the fight. The heavier attacks are slower, but the charged posture damage is extremely effective as it builds up his stagger bar quicker. If you can land a clean heavy strike, Kailok's aggression simply becomes manageable. The challenge is actually finding the window to do it. Because of how mobile he is, many of these openings are smaller than they first appear. And this right here is when Crimson Desert's combat really starts shining. Watch the spacing between us. Kailok tries to create distance. He sidesteps to maintain pressure. He looks for an opening. We wait for the punish window. At this point, the fight almost starts feeling like a dance. Instead of reacting randomly, both sides are constantly repositioning and testing space.
Your life is nothing but fodder for my blade!
Alright, final evaluation. Mechanically, Kailok is a strong early game boss. His moveset is relatively small, but the speed, combo chains, posture interactions, and punish window create a really solid combat rhythm. The fight rewards patience, spacing, and defensive play more than reckless aggression. And once you understand his timing, the encounter becomes consistently readable. Kailok leaves a strong impression. He's one of the first bosses that really introduced ranged energy pressure, and the fight feels much more aggressive than early encounters. The wind slash effects, movement speed, and overall pacing make him feel dangerous. And honestly, the moment where his own men betray him at the end gives this encounter even more personality. Overall, I actually think Kailok is a fair fight. Most attacks have readable telegraphs. The red glow overhead attack becomes very predictable once you understand the timing. Every death here felt more like player error than cheap design. And while the tracking can feel aggressive at first, the fight consistently rewards proper spacing and patience. I also really like the arena itself. There's enough space to maneuver without the fight feeling empty. The destructible merchant tents add some nice environmental interaction, and having Kailok's followers standing around watching the fight helps the encounter feel more alive. By the end, you're wondering, who are they actually rooting for? The battlefield supports the pace of the encounter really well. Replayability is where the fight succeeds the most for me. Even after multiple deaths, I still wanted to keep fighting him. Different weapon styles completely change the pacing of the encounter. Sword and shield rewards posture breaks and defense. Heavy weapons reward patience and timing. Faster weapons reward mobility. And because the fight has a strong combat rhythm once learned, replaying it stays satisfying instead of frustrating. So after reviewing the mechanics, impact, fairness, arena design, and replayability, our final verdict is Kailok is absolutely worth the next fight. Congratulations to Kailok for earning our first ever Worth the Next Fight stamp. Thanks to everyone who stayed until the end. I appreciate you. Until the next fight.